Hi everyone, welcome back to the show. Today I have with me Geoff Foden. Geoff is an online fitness coach, not only an online fitness coach, he is my online fitness coach. Not that you could tell, I guess. But yeah, welcome to the show, Geoff. Pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here and grateful to be invited. So thank you.
Yeah, no worries. And we talk a lot each week. You are my coach, you are my mentor, you are my fitness guy. And one of the things I started recognizing when we started working together was this was totally unexpected and out of the blue, was the relationship between the work I was doing in the gym, physical health, with my mental health and how it impacted the rest of my life and sort of the lessons I was learning in the gym and how to sort of get through training. Like I started kind of connecting some dots between that and what was going on in the rest of my life. And I'd love to hear and talk to you about some of that because I know we chat on WhatsApp a bit about it, but fascinating. So, but before we get into that, it'd be great to hear and share with the audience a little bit about you.
Yeah, absolutely. And that just gave me goosebumps. So that just goes to show how powerful that really is. But we'll come on to that. So, yeah, online fitness coach. So I was originally a personal trainer. Didn't really kind of find that it got my clients where they needed to be. So it was very much paying for an hour of training. So it got to the bottom of the training side of things. But exactly as you just said, it didn't really connect the dots between the bigger picture, people's mental health, their mindset, which are all so much more important. They all tie into that bigger picture. The nutritional side of things, which of course are huge. So transitioned the business online 3 years ago. And it's pretty much blown up since. Very, very consistent growth. And the whole Team Geoff brand has just kind of gone strength to strength since. Always a good indicator when you move that business and things go well. So
yeah, that's how we came to know each other. And I was a skeptic about whether online training, training on my own, what I'm used to growing up is seeing people with a personal trainer at the gym. So couldn't it really work? But clearly it has.
I think it's the non-tangible. I think when you, with a one-to-one PT, you've got that in-person interaction. So you're paying an hourly rate for an hour with that person. And then when it becomes coaching, there's this skepticism that comes. And I don't know, it's a difficult one because I think when you're, as I said, there's no tangible product. So there's this kind of natural skepticism, like what am I going to get?
Yeah,
because there's nothing, there's no physical product, no tangible product.
Yeah. Well, aside from the physical health performance improvements that it can get, as I mentioned, there's this kind of like brilliant set of lessons that I've started to learn and correlations between what happens in the gym and life. And so like one of those things, one of the early ones I got was, I said, you gave me some exercises and I hated one of them. I can't even remember what it was. Maybe deadlifts or...
It would have been a split squat or some sort of trap three raise or something.
Something like that. And I went in the gym, did this exercise. I absolutely hated it. And I messaged you going, I don't like this exercise. Let's see what we can do. And you're like, nah, stick with it. You've got to stick with it. It's really good. It's one of the powerful ones. Game changer, you always say.
Yeah,
game changer.
My favourite word.
And I did. Stuck with it. Carried on, dropped the weight back, started to learn how it felt, what it was like, and it sort of really taught me this kind of thing about stuff you don't like. I mean, you taught me this actually. Stuff you don't like tends to be stuff that you're not that good at.
Yeah,
certainly in the gym, and I can see some of that parallel in the real world outside the gym.
And it's powerful, and you have to remember that no one is good at anything when they first begin.
Yeah.
No one, when they first start playing an instrument, a sport, any of that. And we can take extreme examples. We could take the first time Cristiano Ronaldo kicked the football. Was he good? Probably not. It takes time, it takes patience, it takes skill, it takes perseverance, it takes that grit. And I tend to find it's very common. This idea. Oh, I don't like that exercise. Well, why not? There's always the why not, because we need to understand why we're doing things sometimes, and that correlation with just being weak, not being good at it. But to me, identifying a weakness is powerful, because if you identify something, you can work on it. So I'm a big fan of not shying away from things that are difficult. I think people should embrace those things that are difficult. They should confront those things that are difficult. Do more of it, because it's just going to make you more and more capable.
How do you build the mental resilience to do that, though? That's the tough bit, isn't it? Like being someone who can go, no, actually, I'm going to stick with this. Not I'm going to leave it and move on to something else.
It's a good question, and I think about this one a lot, because there's elements of, I've got 2 young kids, and One's 3, one's just approaching 1. So he's going to be starting walking soon. And I'll never forget when she started walking, they start walking, they fall over, they get back up.
Yeah.
They fall over, they get back up. There isn't an adult on this planet that just like, why don't they walk? Oh, they kept falling over, they eventually just gave up.
Yeah.
So we all have this ability to just persevere and to just fall down and get back up and fall down and get back up. I mean, she's 3, they still have their moments now. We'll be walking down the street, she falls down, she gets back up.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
We learn
to not do it.
We learn the fear.
Yeah, it's the fear. And the fear
failure.
of what? I think the fear of failure. And that's a really powerful one, because failure in the gym, as an example, is something that is a good thing. I do it. It's an intentional thing that I put in people's training plans, not in the early days, but I will eventually make them fail.
Yeah.
And a big part of that is how they react. I failed this. I didn't complete that set. I'm like, that's what's going to get you better.
You've reached the limit.
Yes, and we've also identified the limit, because again, I think people, it's not just about reaching failure, it's about understanding failure, because people may think they're at failure, they may think they're close to failure, and the reality is they're not. They're just scared of failure.
Yes,
because of that connotation in the real world, not in the gym, in the real world. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting, failure in the gym, because you're only really competing against yourself. If you're weight training, you're only really going, can I lift this dumbbell? Can I push this bar? And the only people that you really care is yourself. But you've got this impression that everyone's you're in the gym, everyone's watching. This guy next to you can do it. Why can't I? But you're only really competing against yourself. It's not really a team sport in that respect.
No, and you're 100% spot on. But I think that, I don't know if it's people's ego that gets in the way, because you then can look at the way people train and their form and their execution, where it's more weight.
Yeah.
And I'm the same. And the older I've gotten, the more advanced into my own training career I get with my own clients. One of the things I say is, the second we're competing in a powerlifting competition, and there's 15 other guys, but there's not. Yeah. It's you again. What are you scared of failure? No one's watching what you're doing, and more importantly, what happens when you fail in the gym. Is one of the reasons why, one of the things I do with some of those clients that fear failure is make them fail, and then I just identify, go, what happened? Oh, I failed. Yeah, but what happened? Nothing.
Exactly. I'm gonna go again.
Yeah, we go. Correct.
Yeah, but there's a kind of that psychological thing about failure in real life where people are watching. So there's the gym thing, which is no one's watching, no one else cares actually. Yeah. You're the only one that cares, you and your coach.
Yeah.
But outside, your family or your colleagues, your friends are in theory watching. Certainly care. They might care. So there is a bit of a
questionably. Because listen, let's put it in this instance. If you are any sort of business owner or entrepreneur, you learn from failure if you choose to learn from failure. So I think once again, it's a choice with what you do with failure, because if you fail and you quit, then you failed. Yeah. If you fail and you learn and you overcome and you do it better the second time, then you've won.
Then you've learned something. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. The other really interesting sort of correlation, which sort of leads on from fear, is sort of around this kind of confidence, mental health, and I'm sure lots of people can think about someone who's gone from not being fit to being fit, and they just look more confident, they act more confident.
Of course.
And there's there's definitely a balance. There's definitely something there, which I didn't expect. But.
Yeah, and I think there's a few things going on. There's a few the physiological side of your body's reaction. We forget about physiology, because it's, a lot of people get into training, or they start training because they want to lose weight or because they want to look better. Yeah. But really, we kind of are sometimes better off thinking more about how it makes us feel, how it makes us perform, tying it into our physiology. Because if we think about our physiology, we have evolved from hundreds and thousands of years of struggle. And our physiology hasn't drastically changed, but our environment has. Yeah. So we should still be chasing these feelings of discomfort, because they're going to make us feel good. And that's the association that people just don't put together.
So let me understand that. So chase that discomfort so that you can feel better.
100%.
Why? Because you
it's our physiology. Think back to, listen, nowadays we don't have a saber-toothed tiger hunting us down, and we don't need to wake up and we don't need to hunt food for our family to survive. But so the environment has changed, and there's been some really good studies on that. Our response, our chemical response has changed. But if we think about the reward system, if we think about dopamine, endorphins, they are the same. They still chase that discomfort, and it is powerful.
Yeah. And getting things
it's
but
it's also a game changer.
It's a game changer, of course it is. But the negative impact of that kind of of the ease that you can get things now. Actually, we've talked about this before. Is so something like Amazon, it's so easy to buy stuff. So it's almost, that is the hunter-gatherer thing. You want something, you look at it, you get it, but it's so easy.
Yeah.
There is no,
and there's no effort.
Yeah,
we've
learned to everything.
Correct.
We want things easy. We want it quick.
But it's bizarre, right? I ordered something the other day on Amazon that I didn't need next day, and I still paid more to get it on Amazon, so it was next day.
Yeah.
It made no. I'm fully aware. I'm one of these people. I'm very aware when I. But I was just like, why?
Yeah.
Why on earth was I so desperate?
Why would I wait?
Why would I wait? Yeah. But there's that. You flip around. You go, why would I wait?
Yeah.
And I think this. Then again, there's a when it comes to training that doesn't exist. That next day. I have had people legitimately after a week's training, 2 weeks training, say, "Oh, I don't look any different," and they say it in a really frustrated way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "You've trained 6 times. We've been to the gym 6 times in 2 weeks, and you've been tracking your food, which arguably in the early days of tracking calories and logging protein, you're probably not going to be too efficient at it because it's very new. Yeah. So things are not as efficient as they could be. They're non-optimal. It's very early days, and you're genuinely going, "What the hell? Why don't I look like a men's health cover model yet?"
Yeah. Why don't
I?
I?
Yes,
why don't I? No, genuinely. Why don't I? It's been a year. Why?
It's been a year,
what the hell's going on?
Yeah, but I think that's the reality.
You're supposed to say you do, by the way.
Oh yeah, sorry, you do, Jason. You do. Have you seen the pictures? Yeah. Cut that bit. Yeah. But no, absolutely. It's fascinating. Yeah. But it's just like it's a sign of the times we get things, and even if we go back to my parents' generation, don't understand that next day because they still had to save up for cars and stuff that we just click. But I got my car on. I didn't even talk to a person. I did it on my phone. Yeah. A car shows up at your house, and you're like, "This is."
So things have become easier.
Too easy.
So there's an expectation from a physical health perspective that you can also do that quite quickly, and there's social media influencers that are saying do these 3 exercises. And yes, absolutely. And I think and also that lack of that ease of the way things are so easy. Going back to the physiology, I think that's the better way of putting it. Is going back. It's just out of sync with what we're supposed to be doing as humans. We're not supposed to be sitting in a locked position. There was people I spoke to during lockdown, for example, during the pandemic, that we're doing 200 steps a day. So it's like 15 steps downstairs, coffee, straight onto a 10-hour shift at a laptop in their living room, or on the sofa, curled up in some weird position, and then having dinner, a couple of glasses of wine, and back upstairs to bed. It's not good. No. It's just not good. No, and so the environment sort of teaching us to get things easy, to almost to be lazy. Correct. Certainly teaching our brain to be lazy. So that's the thing, back to sort of linking physical fitness with mental health and confidence. There's the discomfort point as well. There's force yourself to be uncomfortable so that you can get through this kind of problem of laziness and fear of failure and lack of activity that stop you from being physically and then therefore mentally fit.
100%. And I think the key thing there as well is understanding that I believe that confidence comes from competence. So when people, going back to when we said, when people first do something, they're generally not very good. Yeah. So you're not going to be confident of, don't like it. So it's all these, it's just, it's internal dialogue, right? I don't like this. It's uncomfortable. Why are you going to keep doing it? As opposed to when you persevere at something and you actually improve that skill, you repeat that skill, it becomes about repetition, because the more you do something, if you want to learn a language, if you want to pick up any new skill, if you want to learn how to cook, if it doesn't matter what the specific skill is, you don't just do it once a year and expect to be good. You need to do a little bit every day. You need to show up and actually keep doing that thing. All of a sudden you find yourself, the comments turn to, oh, this isn't so bad, actually. So the dialogue changes, right? So it's gone from, I don't like this, to it's not so bad. This is difficult, to, oh, this is starting to feel normal. All of a sudden that dialogue changes even more. I like this. This is right. Yeah. So it's not, it always makes me laugh when, people say things like, oh, I hate exercise, or I hate. I'm like, huh? What, you hate moving. Move. Just find. You need to, I don't always agree with the find the exercise you like, but in ways it is true. If you have to kind of align somewhat with what your goals are. But
because you've got to. People are people. People are humans. They think in a certain way. So actually, if the way to get off the couch is to do some things that you are comfortable with, then great.
Walking, and start slow. That ties in nicely. Walking. Well, learn to walk before you run. Is start with small habits, because again, something I find fascinating. It comes in with that not liking something is not giving it enough time, and then just not. So it becomes just not doing it because they actually set the expectation too high, as opposed to sometimes a big value of mine, a big sort of mantra of mine is just start. Don't, instead of worrying about things being perfect, just start. Because if you keep doing that thing, you're going to get better at it. That's how it works. It's just repetition.
And that's with the correlations to life. It's easy to put things off that you don't want to do. It's easy to put things off that you think are going to be comfortable. It's easy to not do something that's effort. And also the size. If the size of the work looks good, huge. So the size of going from not being on the front of GQ magazine to being looking as good to be on it is a huge leap. But huge. Being slightly more fit than you are isn't a huge leap. And
time will pass either way. So whatever way you look at it, if you because one thing I find amazing is I've had it before. Someone I'm talking, I have a lot of conversations. Nature of my business on Instagram, just chit chat if you like, and the amount of time people talk to me about a goal or a specific goal, and then time passes, and then you catch up, and 6 months have passed. How have you been getting on? Oh, I haven't started. So that's 6 months, and you can do a lot in 6 months, but it's as a result of those tiny cumulative efforts that just add up. So time will pass either way. That's another game changer.
It's a fact.
It's a fact. It is an absolute fact.
But I think that's your point, is recognizing it as the game changer.
I think so. I think so.
Because it's easy for a year. It is easy for a year to slip by. New Year's resolution is I'm going to get fit this year, and then New Year's resolution comes around again.
I have weird. I say this to my wife. She thinks I'm mental anyway. But I have weird little sort of time. Things that indicate the time of the week and just how quick a week passes, if that makes sense. Weird little ones. So I have like a little pill box in the morning for all my multivitamins and the fish oils, and so I'm not getting them all out of each type. It's like a little old man pill box. Great, actually, really good little buy. And every Sunday when I top that up for the following week, I'm like, I swear I did this 2 days ago. But it's not, because it's a 7 days labelled Monday to Sunday, and I'm literally 7. It's weird, those little kind of things that just make you. That's a week. That's another week.
I have that with sort of weekly meetings that I have. It's like, how are we at this meeting?
Check-ins. It comes around to your check-in, and I'm like, really, we're here again.
And I come back to check-ins because there's something about data and tracking and accountability that I want to come back to. But the last sort of point actually are on the correlations. Then I got some other stuff to kind of weave in around motivation and consistency and stuff. Is stress and injury. And how those things are linked. So I have found. So I've had a history of bad back problems. And when I look back, I can I don't have this as fact actually, but I think it's true, which is when I've been at my most stressed, that's when I have my back problems. That's when they pop up. And now they don't flare up. I don't get that sort of stuff anymore. But I do recognise that in a stressful week, I get more niggles. Shoulder will go, my elbow will go, and I it's not like thoughtful. It's not happening thoughtfully, but it sort of pops out that way.
This one could be fascinating if you got really deep into, because of course there's going to be, I agree, and I can speak the same for myself, but are there lapses in concentration when you're stressed? Are there potentially factors that are just the stress itself where you're just not focusing? I think it's important to remember with stress as well that stress tends to, if we think about the hormone, if we think about the physiological response with stress and with cortisol, it pulls from the same resource. So the stress we put on our system training, the stress we put on our system when it's work stress, it's just stress. So we're
not different like categories.
And and it's not an infinite pull. So I 100% think there's something there. I think from an actually, proving the science behind it, I don't know. I have read some interesting studies, actually, some interesting theories on elevated hormones in the body and things elevated in the body that can create that knock-on effect. I'm not so sure, but I think for me there's also going to be, it's going to come down to the kinetic chain. If you are when we think about why injuries happen or how niggles happen, it's complex. We are talking about that kinetic chain. So when something does play up, we need to understand the way muscles attach and the way they cross over. You're going to naturally start protecting that injury. Part of injury is pain, and part of that pain is a protective mechanism. So when people, something that you get more experienced with, I've said to you many times, what do I say whenever you get an injury? I'm like, oh yeah, I've done that one. It's like, I've completed that one. But when you get more accustomed to those sports related injuries, you start to learn that, because yes, I have had some more serious injuries along the training career, but not actually the real serious ones normally aren't directly from the gym. When I think about longer time off, it's incidents outside of the gym. So you become a little bit more accustomed to the fact that pain is quite often just your brain telling your body to stop doing this, because this is going to damage this. So that pain can feel really bad, and we panic, and with those usual feelings of panic. And what normally happens 3 days later, 4 days later, you're back in the gym. It's not as bad as it. I
think that's an interesting one. The sort of panic. So I had this scenario a few years ago when my back was bad, and I used to, when I go camping. So I go camping quite a lot with my boys and with my friends and family and stuff. And I hate sleeping on a blow-up bed. Absolutely hate it. I've now invested in it's a bed that's better than my bed at home.
A king-size bed.
Exactly. It's like mattress, memory foam, stuff like that. But at the time, it was this rubbish sort of like blow-up mattress, and I would dread. I'd love camping, but I'd dread sleeping in this thing. And I saw my physio the week before. Camping, my back's going to terrible, and then literally the next day after camping, on the Monday after the weekend, I said, I've got to come in, my back is dreadful, it's terrible, it's like I'm sure I've pulled it. I went, and she said, stop panicking. Just you went in all stressed about sleeping on this mattress, and you've come back to me today, your back is fine, you haven't broken your back over the weekend.
The self-fulfilling prophecy is real. I think I've had the same with you before as well, with certain niggles, and the thing I always say is relax, and don't fear it, because there's that, let's take that move out the plan, because that's going to.
But that fear, I think that fear comes from a learned response,
of
right?
Course,
so
it's
like
natural,
so if I worry, I've had 20 years of bad back, so of course I'm going to be more sensitive to it. But that's back to this fear factor.
Confront your fears. Confront things you're not good at. Confront things.
Recognising
it. 100%.
I'm recognising it. I want to switch to something that's been really kind of, I suppose, inspirational for me about this kind of idea that I'm either motivated or not motivated to go to the gym. Can I be bothered or can I not be bothered to go to the gym? And that idea that in order to be able to train, because it's hard, you've got to put the effort in, you've got to get changed, you've got to put your trainers on, you've got to go to the gym, you've got to get it done, gets you motivated. But I go to the gym, I've been going to the gym 4 times a week through your help for a year, I've not missed anything, and I've not been motivated every time. I definitely haven't been motivated every time I go. But the thing, and I see this in life and in business as well, which is there is a difference between being motivated to do something and just doing it.
100%.
Consistency,
discipline,
turning up, discipline. And it's just been fascinating to me about, you don't actually need to be motivated to do something.
No.
But if you're committed to it and you have got the consistency to it and the discipline to it,
it is fascinating. It is fascinating. But I think it comes down to understanding that, motivation's a feeling. It's just an emotion. So any emotion can fade, and just the same as it can grow, but it's somewhat irrelevant. It's like when people say, oh, I just want to be happy all the time. And I'm like, well, it's an emotion. It's transient. So there's gonna be, for every, you can't walk around 24/7. You don't wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning happy, laughing, giggling.
What's
down
the measure of happiness as well?
Well, there's a whole another podcast. But it's that idea of like you wanting to do something all the time. So that's a huge misconception. I'm 20 years deep into my own training career now. I don't want to go most of the time. It's gone the other way around. Right. I very rarely have buzzy training sessions where I'm just like, let's get down to the gym. It is a commitment that I have now, lifelong commitment that I have made, that has become like an obligation to me. So regardless of how I feel, regardless of, what's going on, it's getting done. And I think that...
Why though?
This one's fascinating. I don't know. This one genuinely would be a very complex psychological kind of... Part of me, I'm not sure if it's because I've been doing it for so long that I've normalized it, and it is exactly as you just said, it's just habitual. Because how many habits. Have you ever read Atomic Habits by James Clear? Great. It's a really good book. I would recommend anyone read that book. But he talks about the power of habits and how habits will literally, they have the ability to change your life, and whether they are positive or negative, because we all have them. And if you think about it on a, if you think about our morning routine, the CEO morning routine, wake up, meditate. No, I'm joking. But like this idea of, the idea of, our morning routine, or my morning routine certainly, is it's just habit. Yeah. The same events happen. It's functional. Things, And when you think about, we teach our kids this. I teach my daughter, when she's finished eating her food, right, we'll take your plate and we take it to the kids. So most people, we don't finish our food. Well, I'm sure there's some Neanderthals that do, but no, we don't finish our food and just leave the plate.
Oh, both my children too. They are Neanderthals.
Well,
both my boys.
But these are things that hopefully in a few years.
My job as a parent is to teach them the
habit.
There
you go. So teach them the habit that when we finish, we just take. It can be as simple as that as well. When we go upstairs, when we have a bath, after we have a bath, or whatever everyone's individual routine, we brush our teeth. Before we go to bed, we brush our teeth, whatever it is. So these habits do become so ingrained, and it's the same with the negative habits, because ask any smoker, I always have a cigarette after eating. Why?
Yeah. You've just decided.
You've literally just decided. Habitual drinkers. Oh, I love a glass of wine in the evening. Like, do you, or do you just? Is it so habitual that you just, the second you have dinner, you have a glass of wine with dinner? Which there's nothing wrong with, by the way. I'm just saying, it's just as a habit, and we all have these positive habits, these negative habits, the things we say, the things that we do, and it's
interesting that. So it's all they're sort of choices.
Yeah.
So those are choices that you make, and habits are hard to form, and they're hard to break as well. But the but they're emotional, and they're emotional. Your motivation to do those things are emotional.
Yeah.
But commitment and consistency is also a choice.
Agreed.
So you can choose to do something new. You can not choose to do something new. So like training, you can choose, even if you're not emotionally motivated, you can still make the choice to make it happen.
To do it. And then ties back nicely to the more you do something, the easier it becomes.
Yeah.
The more normalized it becomes, because it's that fear of change, which we've talked about.
That's the first point about you don't like it, so you don't do it.
But 100%. Whereas, and I think it comes from having clear, concise goals as well. Because to me, I think I approach training goals quite logically. I reverse engineer everything. Always have. It's an approach that's worked really well for me. So if I want to get to, doesn't matter. If you want to lose 10 kilos of fat, put a time frame on it. And be logical here. Of course, this is my level of expertise, but it's something I've had people get in touch on. I want to lose 20 kilos and I want to lose it in 6 weeks. Well, that's not going to happen. I want to lose 20 kilos. Okay, well, let's actually set a time frame. It's also a large chunk of weight, so let's break it down and let's set milestones, because then when you've reverse engineered, you then create these smaller milestones that is just about showing up and ticking boxes to achieve that milestone. And it becomes much easier when you
break it down. It leads quite nicely onto this the thing I want to talk about accountability. So actually part of consistency and commitment, and therefore the motivation that you get, comes back to either being held to account by someone, hello coach, or holding yourself to account in some way.
Yeah, and that's the complicated subject where when I said it would be impossible, like why am I still why am I my own personal accountability 20 years on? But I think having someone to report to, someone to talk to, someone to just communicate with, someone to help identify problems and then find solutions for that specific problem, because ultimately that's what holds people back. When you think about if we take the mechanism of losing fat or building muscle, they're not particularly complex as a mechanism. They're really not. And then when we think about what I do for my clients from that mechanism point of view, it's not particularly complex. So it's not as simple as stick to this and do that, because otherwise everyone would do it. It's knowledge without applications void. It's pointless. So I think the accountability is where that action comes in, because you are absolutely right. Having someone to hold you accountable and make sure you're ticking these boxes, because as we've discussed, it's just a time game. There's of course, there's an element of doing the right things, because there's the trust the process. Well, how do you know the process is right? Well, that's where you've got the expertise. So then you're trusting that the process you're doing, and then you're just waiting for time. It's a time. It goes back to time will pass either way.
But the trust in the process a little bit comes back to the gratification of having results.
Absolutely.
But that is fixed in some way by smaller smaller goals that you can achieve.
It is, and it's why it's very important for me when I'm working with. We would have done this in our first. You may not have even realised we've done this in our first couple of weeks. I make sure it's something that's very important that I do in everyone's first couple of weeks. Is we have a big win. There needs to be a very quick win, and it doesn't have to be big. It can be a kilo down. It can be, a lift in the gym. It could be a PB in the lift. Oh, I'm struggling with that. Yeah. Using a program in 2 weeks is maybe a bit short there, but even 3-4 weeks, just changing a protocol so it's like a rep PB, something that happens very quickly, because that just comes down to we can discuss this. For you to understand the delaying the gratification and prolonging that process, you have to spend the time doing it.
Commit.
Yeah. So it's almost like you're not the trust the process, that you don't really see it pay off until you've trusted the process for long enough to be like, okay, yeah, it works. Yeah. And that's not going to happen in 4 weeks. It's not going to happen in 6 weeks. So you need some wins in that time frame.
Yeah, I've got there's this little cartoon that I always remember in this sort of trusting the process point, which is there's two streams. There's two miners digging through, and there's one that's walking back the other direction, having dug the same distance as the other guy, and there's the gold is just behind the next bit, and the other guy's still digging. So there's one guy that keeps going, and the other one's walking back, which is like, you might always be close to the thing, and you got to keep going. And
that one's powerful, because something I always explain as well is that when you do start any kind of fitness journey, and people normally do or should change quite quick to when I say change, statistically, we're talking data. If we talk measurements, if we talk weight drops, if someone's trying to lose fat, then the scales should move quick, the measurements should move quick, but what you see in the mirror doesn't move quick, and that's perfect. That as you said, because it's like. Yeah. Sometimes people quit when they are that close to actually really seeing things fruition. It's the saying that the day you plant the seed isn't the day you eat the fruit. It's that patience game of waiting for it to fruition, and it comes through this drastic change in measurements and data that doesn't quite, you don't see it until you've been doing it for long enough.
Yeah, I'm going to come back to this. There's two things about that, about the tracking, but also the seeing, and I'm going to talk about it. But I just around this accountability thing, and so we do this brilliant thing, which I'm assuming you do with everyone, which is like a weekly check-in. So I do it Thursday night. Fill in there's some questions to answer about how I feel, how the training was, how my diet was, and a year in, it's sort of a bit sort of tick boxy, and I can just whiz through it, and I don't think too much about it. But it's my weekly reminder that I'm looking back and seeing how things went, and which is a really powerful thing to do. 100%. But it also obviously tells you how things have been, and it helps you to craft and change and adjust the program. So that is a level of accountability where I'm having to report back to someone. There's a little bit of, I don't want to tell coach I didn't do it. I'm quite sort of motivated and focused on it anyway. But there's a little bit, certainly in the early days, tracking.
Knowing I'm watching what you're
tracking
eating.
My calories. Yeah. Do I really want to eat that biscuit? I better not.
Knowing I'm literally going through, and the difficult side of coaching is it's not just stick to your training and stick to your nutrition. We've got life, stress, family, work, all these things that come into play. So, those questions are powerful, and when you've had a great week and had a smooth week, and as you said, it becomes nowadays where it's like, how have you felt? Good. Have you done it? It's like one word answer. It's like fine, good. Yeah. No. In all seriousness, it's a good thing. But we still, and this just goes to show, this deep into the coaching, well over a year in, we still have those moments where it's been a stressful week, it's been a difficult week. Well, what's the knock-on effect that it's had on everything else? Do I need to adjust anything? Do we need to? Because once again, it's this idea of you can't 100% push all the time. Even though we do, it comes back to hard work and avoiding, not avoiding discomfort. We still, when that, like I say, that stress pull. Sometimes we have to pull back. Sometimes we deload. Sometimes we pull back training. Sometimes we relax. I've ordered clients to have a week off training before. There's niggles building up and this, and I'm stressed, and this is happening, and this will just stop. Just rest. Take a deep breath and pick up in 5-6 days time. It's essential.
Yeah, that definitely helps. And the check in, the having someone to help hold you to account, which is not necessarily an expectation from a personal trainer or even a coach. If you've got a coach in business or a life coach, they're not really there to hold you to account. But that if you, it does,
It works.
It does help.
It works.
Yeah, it does
But we
do it.
don't realise that accountability is everywhere, but we don't realise. And what it
Yeah.
is the stakes are higher elsewhere. Because if
Yeah,
you
yeah,
are an
yeah.
employee and you don't pull your weight at work, or even worse, you don't show up,
Yeah.
you're not going to get away with there's consequence to that.
Yeah.
And if we think about this as your role as a parent, can you imagine, this ties in nicely with motivation, can you imagine if you only responded to a crying kid at 2:00 in the morning when you could be bothered, when you were feeling motivated? No one is motivated to go and deal with a wet bed at 2:00. You just do it.
Yeah.
And so there is an element there of, that ties in with motivation, it ties in with accountability. That's you holding yourself accountable to be a good parent, to be a good person. There's things you just do. So I think with training, with nutrition, with these lifestyle kind of choices, we become a little bit complacent, and there's no real, I say there's no real, there is a consequence. Consequence comes in the form of obesity, it comes in the form of unhappiness, it comes in the form of weakness, whatever it may be, but it's still not an immediate consequence.
Yeah.
When they one I always find fascinating, it kind of proves it, is that if you ever see, I sometimes see like fitness marketing where it's aimed at like later life and poor health, and it just doesn't work, because we live in that instant. When they introduced car seatbelts in the UK, they said to everyone, if you don't wear your seatbelt, you're going to die. No one wore a seatbelt. They were like, I haven't died yet. I've been not wearing a seatbelt all this time, so nothing's going to change. Then they were like, right, okay, we're going to fine you. But if you don't wear a seatbelt, we're going to fine you, right? That didn't work, because people went, how often do you even see a police car? I've driven however many miles here today. I didn't see a police car. So that didn't work. So they just made them beep. So they just basically, you get in your car, you start driving, beep, beep, beep. You're like,
have to put it on.
yeah, it's just become that kind of like, we need that instant, and so it just doesn't work. That consequence that is the consequence that comes as a lack of looking after your health. It just doesn't. It happens so far away that it's just out of mind, out of mind.
Yeah. And the thing that's really helped with accountability is sort of, I think the last bit I wanted to just sort of talk through is this podcast is focused at data business crew, so I've got to talk about it, but it's so relevant in training. So you make me track, right? You make me track my weight, you make me track my measurements, you make me track my diet, and then the thing that's hard to track is the looking in the mirror thing.
Correct.
But none of those things individually are the answer. So, someone says they want to lose 20 kilos, fine, but you might not look any different.
Correct.
Actually, they would if you lost 20 kilos. But
well, you say that, but no, if in many instances, if there's been not enough weight training or not enough, you are right. 20 kilos, you won't look. It won't. And that's the thing. And this is where people get, and I'm sure this is relevant to your industry as well, is that it's data needs to be relevant. If you're of course, if you're focusing on the wrong data, well, it's somewhat irrelevant. Something I find fascinating is the modern day, Apple Watches and Fitbits, and I burnt 700 calories in that HIIT class. Yeah, but how many have you eaten today? You're literally, it's the same data, it's calories, right? Yeah. But you're pinpointing the wrong one. Yeah. How much you've burned is irrelevant if it's not in context with how much you've consumed. So, I think data is valuable. It doesn't lie.
You've got to use it. You've got to use it. Well, you say it doesn't lie, but there's this thing about those four things that we're using: the data points, the weight, the diet, the measurements, how you look and feel. Yeah. They're different things, and they all could be out of kilter all the time. So I could have a really bad week and look great. I could have a really good week of eating and look not so. So look is. I was talking to my wife about this. Looking. It's your brain sees
subjective,
and your brain sees you, not
100%.
It's not factual what you see, is it? Really, no, it's just subjective. How your perception of what you see. So,
of course,
but all these things are like sort of, you got to take a step back and go, overall, is my diet improving, and my measurements improving, is my weight improving, and do I feel better? 100%. Overall, the answer is yes. Then we're doing something really good.
100%. And it's good to see. And I think data is always useful to still see. Using yourself as an example, we're in a phase now where you're not losing any fat. You're nice and lean. There's no. We're not seeing drastic changes anymore to data. So the the relevance of the data changes. Now, what's going in your mouth still very, very relevant still, because it's still gonna shape where you're going and what you're doing. Numbers in the gym, those numbers. But so it's the same data, but certain bits are less important.
Well, this is where your earlier point about trusting the process, because you're right. I'm in a phase where not much is doesn't feel like much is happening, no. but there's an end. You tell me. I'm sure there's an end. There's a change happening. There's a milestone that we'll get to. or it becomes more. Actually, this is what you've said to me. It becomes more of a way of life
That's,
rather than chasing the goal.
I was waiting for you to say that. Yeah, because and part of it comes from being there.
Yeah.
It's easier to stay at the top of a mountain than it is to climb a mountain, right?
Yeah.
It's that logic. Once you get to a point and things become more passive. So something that, and this ties in nicely with when we were talking about competence, because competence and confidence, part of that comes from Cristiano Ronaldo, as you mentioned. Now, for him to, he is a master of his trade,
Craft,
if you like.
yeah.
It's craft, that's
Yeah.
a better word. So the further along you get, the more confident you get, the less effort it feels, there's probably less nerves for him, that everything feels comfortable.
Yeah.
And I think that passive physique, if you like, is a thing. And there's a lot of benefits that come from it as well. So one of the selling points I always say to you is build muscle so you can eat more food. And that one always makes people laugh, but it's kind of coming from a point where people have some body fat to lose often. And so we have to restrict calories. It seems restrictive. It seems there's sacrifices to be made, but actually what happens the other side of it is more food. What's happened to you personally in the last 2-3 months is we've increased your food. There's been a fear of increasing more food, and what's happened as a result of it? Nothing. Your maintenance calories have increased. Everything's improved. Your gym performance is increased. You're in this position where things are more passive. You show up and training is autopilot. I don't like using that word in ways. It's still hard work, but
it's not.
Just
I don't have to think too much. I've got to go in, churn it out, do the work.
Same with the nutrition, and I know that going through your nutrition is uniform. It's not. There's not so much thought because again, when it comes to choices, I think it's sometimes important to simplify your options.
Yeah.
When you see famously Zuckerberg or any of these guys where they're dressed in the same clothes every day, people, they wear the same clothes every day, and then people talk about decision fatigue. Yeah. I say the same thing with nutrition. I say, when you give yourself too much choice, if I ask my 3-year-old now, what do you want for dinner?
Yeah.
Pancakes. No, we can't have pancakes. This could go on for an hour, right? Pizza. No, we're not going to have. It's too much of an open. As opposed to just saying, do you want eggs or do you want chicken?
Yeah.
You should say one of the two, right? And I think we can employ that ourselves. And I always say to people, I'm like, you're trying to complicate a system or a process here, whereas you actually need to simplify it. So if we narrow down to 3 to 4, which is how I eat, narrow this down to 3 to 4 protein sources, 3 to 4 carbohydrate sources. Veg is like a free-for-all practically. There's a lot of combinations you can make with those meals, and you've just instantly limited the choices, which means it's less thought. It's it's a shift in perspective.
Yeah. And back to the lazy brain, you actually do want things to be easy where they can be, because there's so much hard stuff going on.
Yeah, correct. And this is where people end up on Just Eat, Deliveroo, because it becomes this, I don't know what to eat. So now you're browsing because you're actually looking, you want someone or something to inspire you, so you can be scrolling and go, oh, that will do. Oh, I fancy that. Yeah. As opposed to giving yourself this kind of a little bit more of a limited choice. It's that or that with that or that. It's easy. All of a sudden you're putting together these kind of quick meals.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think I might be the odd one, because I really enjoyed being in a calorie deficit. Sorry.
Really?
I enjoyed that period. I mean, we were in it for 9 months.
A long
or something.
time. Yeah. Nice.
I tuned my diet so tight. I actually quite liked it, but anyway.
We'll do it again. We'll do it again another time.
Do it again.
Get absolutely shreddy.
Yeah. Fascinating talking to you. If anyone thought personal training was just about getting in the gym and lifting a few weights, hopefully they've been awoken.
Hey, we're not all meatheads. We're not all just meatheads. Although I am a meathead.
You're that, and
meathead with brains. There we go.
Been a pleasure. Talking to you.
My pleasure. It's been good fun.
Thank you for coming on the show. I hope everyone found that interesting. The correlations between physical health, mental health, life, performance, outlook. It's certainly transformed how I've looked at things. So, hope everyone enjoyed it. And thanks again, Geoff.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.